So should you tell the truth about tariffs? That's the subject of today's video, and my simple answer is yes, tell the truth. But if you're Trump, the Republicans, and Fox News, it's really quite complicated because you lie all the time. So let's watch this. You'll see what I'm saying.
There's an item in the New York Post that we all have in front of us. It's an exclusive story, and it talks about how with these 104% tariffs that went into effect, we think that China is going to have to pay for it, but
do you know why people think China's gonna have to pay for the tariffs? Because you tell them that. It is so ridiculous that they're doing this now. But this is the reality: is basically their viewers, right, their constituents are getting the tax bill, and they're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Trump lied to me. Fox News lied to me. Oh my God, gasp, shock. Watch some more, you'll see.
We think that China is going to have to pay for it, but it tells a story of a special needs toy importer. And when the tariffs went into effect at midnight, his tariff, he's been paying a tariff because he gets stuff from China, $26,000 a year. His tariff bill went from $26,000 at midnight to $346,000. And that's money he's going to have to come out of his pocket.
And look at the faces of the other Fox hosts. They're just like, oh yeah. Yeah, we've been lying. So why are we telling the truth now? What's going on? Did I not get the memo? But this is the reality, guys. Like, when you get the bill, you'll be like, yep, I'm going to have to pay for it. And this is the craziest crap that the Republicans pull. They pull this crap all the time. I've been telling you guys this. Be careful out there. I think there's still a lot of misinformation out there. I'll just make it really, really clear. Trump is putting a tax on you. You're going to pay for it. Yes, we say China tariffs is a tax on Chinese goods that come into the country, and then you pay it. You. On top of that, what's going on with the U.S.-China trade war? We're currently at 125% on Chinese goods. China's hit back. Basically, it's a tax then on Chinese consumers and Chinese companies. It's going to be a 84% tax on American goods. Will China raise? We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Officially, I just want to make it really clear. Officially, yes, the importing company has to pay the tax, but oftentimes they pass the cost on to you. So I want to make that really, really clear. You end up paying for it, and you'll figure it out very quickly when you buy something on Amazon or whatever, and you'll see the cost go up. And people have been saying that it already has been. But there's a 10% tariff on all the other countries right now, 125% tariff on China. Partly what's going on here is Trump caved. The bond market was basically crashing. People were selling off. I told you guys about this before we first started talking about it. It was the hedge funds were actually de-risking, de-leveraging. We talked about this the last couple of days. They were selling off bonds. People have lost trust in the U.S. government, that we think we're going to deficit spending. And then I heard also Japan was selling off U.S. bonds. And this is what we're faced with, is that essentially the U.S. may have higher borrowing costs. People are less willing to buy U.S. debt. They want to be compensated more. And essentially, if we think that the Trump math doesn't make sense, the revenues coming in and the tax cuts they want to make, like how are you going to pay for said tax cuts? It doesn't make sense. Even some of the Republicans want to limit what Trump is up to these days. We're talking about tariffs here. So it's quite interesting because there's a lot of inner turmoil with going on with the Republicans, and they're writing legislation in unrelated bills to keep their members in check, right? If you don't know, basically, it says right here, House Republican leaders maneuvered Wednesday to spare their members a politically tricky vote on President Trump's tariffs in the coming months by tucking language into unrelated measure that would temporarily bar lawmakers from using their power under the law to force such a vote. So again, there's wrangling of, can we bring Trump under check or not? Basically, Trump has to declare everything a national emergency. If he does, or related to national security, be it fentanyl, be it we have to build factories back in the USA and national security, then he has the right to theoretically put tariffs wherever he wants. And Congress was thinking like, hey, we should check that guy. But Republicans are kind of whipping their members like, no, you're not. And they tried to bring I guess this was the budget vote. They didn't have enough votes to pass, right? There's a lot of Republicans that believe it or not, can actually do math. And believe it or not, may actually can care about their constituents. So we'll see what plays out with this. There's a lot of infighting going on. There's a lot of lying going on over there. And the problem is like when the leader of your party, Trump, and the face of your party constantly tells lies, it kind of dominoes down. That's why it's kind of comical when you see Fox News saying, hey, You thought that China paid the tariffs. Well, it turns out you're going to pay, and then people are going to get the bills and they'll realize it for themselves. Lutnick is on TV also talking about Trump stuff. Let's have a watch.
We can't be a nation that invents everything but has everything built somewhere else. Eventually, you become subservient to the people who build things for you. If you make nothing, but all you do is think about it, then someone else will be the builder.
So they're speaking to a specific audience, and you'll notice a lot of it with this kind of stuff. And essentially, they want to roll back the country and to be a bunch of factory workers. That's sort of what we're talking about. And they're like, oh, you don't want to be the thinkers. You don't want to be the inventors. We want to be the builders again. And I get it, guys. I get it. There's a certain segment of the population that wants to roll everything back and wants to all be factory workers again. The problem is that era has gone for the USA. A lot of these jobs are gone due to automation, right? Machines do the jobs that people used to do. And we also have now computers that do the jobs that people used to do. This is just the reality. And some people, right, want to go back in time or haven't kept up with the current, job skills that are needed in today's workforce. I know it sounds mean, but I'm just being honest with you about this stuff. There are definitely going to be pushback on the modernization of technology. I'll give you an example. The longshoremen were on strike this past year. If you guys have been paying attention to the story, talk about it on the channel. One of the big sticking points was don't use automation at the ports. That was a really big sticking point. I can tell you here in Korea, it's different than USA. Some of our ports are actually fully automated. It's a different environment, right? Machines work. It is what it is. You can look at, say, for example, in USA, various, Amazon, distribution centers, et cetera. They use a lot of machines these days, conveyor belts, drones, or how you move things around, right? You use machines. It's just the advance of technology. Now, it doesn't mean that there'll be no jobs, no factory jobs in USA in the future, but just, I'm not holding my breath for all of them to come back, despite what someone like Lutnick says. And also too, I'm not against people having thinking jobs and being services, right? It's just it's a different world than where they want to roll it back. It's different today. But I understand their viewers want to go backwards. Also, their viewers are xenophobic. And so this is the kind of stuff that's been happening these days. We're kicking out, I guess, it's like 500 foreign student visas have been revoked, which is really a lot. And one of the strengths of USA is our university system. It's been like the amount of research that we do, technology that we invent, all sorts of, international money that comes into the country. It is a big strength of the USA, and it's really sad to see that the current administration is attacking that. I was a professor for many, many years, and I'll also just be honest about this as well. Not every American is a Trumper. There are some very, very, very kind people out there who are very welcoming to foreigners, and that's very American to me. So I have a different point of view, of course, than the Trump people. They want the USA to be only one type of person, and screw all the other countries and screw all immigrants and screw all foreigners. I get that point of view. I disagree entirely. I think it's anti-American, but that's just my point of view. And it's frustrating to have to go through this stuff every day because we're wrestling with what do we want America to be? Do we want America to be just a bunch of factory workers and such, or do we want America to be a global hub for producing knowledge, inventing things, and creativity? I'm with the latter. I think that's the strength of America is promoting our creativity, knowledge, and invention. I think that's fantastic. But it's the Trump people. Right now, the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, they're scouring through foreign student social media posts and looking to kick people out. And then already China's warning their students not to come to the USA anymore. And I know other countries are going to do the same. It is a big, big loss for America if you do not attract top talent from around the world. I want to make that really clear. It's a big loss for America. And the Trump people are going to paint this as a win. Oh, it's so good that people aren't coming here anymore. If you just want to talk about in terms of money, right? Chinese students bring a heck of a lot of money into the USA. They're full tuition paying students. I think it's like 1 out of 4 is Chinese students or something of that nature. But why would you go to the USA if they're going to scour your social media, revoke your visa any day? You could get arrested on the street, these kind of things. It's a scary time right now for people who are legally in the USA, but you're just worried what the government's going to do to you. It's awful. On top of that, you got the Fox News people and the Republicans gaslighting you. We have to go through this stuff because it's I'll be honest with you. One, it's entertaining, and two, you just want to know what they're saying because they're the ones in power. So let's have a watch. Let's see what this guy says.
Guess who's not going to be a part of that? China. Unless they come groveling and he's able to make them the deal of a lifetime because of the fact that, you know, the great thing about what he's been doing the past couple of weeks, it's all been transparent. I mean, Besson said from the very beginning, this is the high mark. If you start making a deal with us right away, it'll come down from here. All of the tariffs will come down as soon as we start talking. Instead, China thought that they could talk Trump out of it or even bully him in some way. Forget about it. It ain't going to happen.
Okay. We are still in a trade war with the U.S. and China, and they're acting like Trump had this big victory. It's like, what are you people talking about? At this point in the game, I think you just need to put a sign on Fox News that just says, you know, 4 legs bad, 2 legs good, right? and call it a day. But that's what they're doing over there, is that they're acting like that Trump's this awesome dude and he's standing up to China. And I'll just say this, guys, we don't know how this thing is going to end right yet. It is still going on. And it's pretty ludicrous that, you know, the bond market is crashing, Trump caved, and they're trying to paint this as a victory. And Trump, you know, lowered the tariffs on other countries is down 10%, and we haven't got any deals. The other thing I want to point out as well is like, they keep saying 75 countries are coming. I looked. I have not seen the list of the 75 that we're supposedly talking to, etc. All I've heard mentioned is like Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and there might be one other that I might miss. You guys can let me know. But it's not like everyone is sending all of their people right today and it's all 75. I haven't seen the list for myself. So I haven't seen any deals made yet. So that there's that. And I even saw before, we talked about before, in the news they were talking about Japan, and Japan was even saying like, dude, with the tariffs, we don't have any money to invest anyway. Like, what are you talking about? and even if you're trying to do a deal with China, they're having an implosion of their economy as well. They're in a deflationary thing. They just came out of a real estate bubble. Like, where's this money going to come from? I mean, it's crazy. Listen to a little bit Navarro, what he has to say about this stuff.
Challenge your assumption that it takes years. Okay, it's not going to take years. We do this in Trump time. That means as quickly as possible. During the first term, I was the defense policy coordinator. I was the guy who was helping the president try to get things
like. All right,
like
so we're doing it in Trump time. I guess these things are going to go much faster than you guys think. Is sort of the key. Let's listen a little bit more what he has to say.
Ventilators and N95 masks to the people as quickly as possible. Honeywell comes to me and says, we got to get 2 factories done, and it's going to take maybe 6 to 8 months or more. We got them done in 2 months. And then General Motors, ventilators, 14 days we were producing ventilators in the Midwest right now, around the Michigan area, Indiana, all the places where autos and auto parts are made. There's very low capacity utilization of our auto factories. There's auto parts factories, which all you have to do is go on and take the cobwebs and dust away, and you can start those up again. This is going to move very fast. With respect to the inflation issue and whether consumers are going to pay for this, we have the experience of the first term. What happens is the exporters to us eat most of any tariff. Why do they do that? They have to do that, Lindsay. I mean, think about it. They're export dependent.
Yeah. So, okay. Let me just address what he's talking about here. Okay. So the tariff, you're going to pay for it. The American company, or the importing company is a better way to say it, is going to pay for it. And then that often gets passed on to consumer. So yes, it is true. I just want to make sure it's clear. It is true that the exporting country, China, could give discounts to the importing company, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to actually pay it, right? They could eat some of the costs, but the margins on this stuff is quite thin, right? So for example, because I read all this stuff, I'm just sharing with you guys, Walmart, right? When the tariffs kicked in, because Walmart gets a bunch of stuff from China, they call the factory and say, hey, we're going to have to pay, Walmart saying, we're going to have to pay these tariffs, like this cost is enormous. Can you give us any more discounts on the stuff that you build in China? And many of the Chinese factories are like, no, we can't. We already got, small margins as it is. And so like the way that they're talking here is that, everything's going to work out great and we're going to beat China. And then they talking about all of these idle factories, and suddenly we're going to be building lots and lots of cars, etc. I mean, I just, the math doesn't make sense. Have a listen to more. You'll see what I'm saying.
They have nowhere to go other than us for selling goods. And so
So big problem in their thinking, and I get it, guys, right? Much of their viewers, they think USA is the only country in the world, and China has only one place to sell it to, but it's just not the case. This is a chart here from Wikipedia. You can see 2024 imports and exports of goods by the top 23 trading partners. This would be of China. They trade with all kinds of countries, right? You talk about the EU, you talk about what's going on in Southeast Asia, the United States, right? South Korea, Japan. I'm just throwing this list up there because there's this arrogance. Essentially, you'll see it from the Trump people that USA is the only place in the world that China or any country could ever do business with, and we're just so awesome. If you treat other countries in that way, it's not great for trade relations, and it's just frankly arrogant and ignorant. It's a terrible combination to have. On top of that, things have changed in USA, okay? Our GDP growth is not what it used to be. It's not going to be. Our population growth also isn't going to be the same as what it used to be. If you want to look at GDP growth, you're looking at something like an India or a Vietnam, meaning that those markets and those consumers are going to increase buying more things. There is a wealth of types of other populations and markets that you can sell things to and trade with. The USA is not the only one. And in fact, the population of USA will be declining. They keep upping the projections of when that's going to be. Why does that matter? Because let's, for example, we'll talk about cars because they have this fantasy that we're all going to be factory workers. If in a growing market, growing population, everyone's buying cars, etc., right? There's always going to be like growth in the industry. But what if like suddenly your population shrinks, or what if cars say get better where you don't need to buy a new car every couple of years? You don't have to fix it all the time. Like cars are way better than they used to be, way more reliable. The car market changes. There just aren't as many jobs as there are anymore, used to be. And it's a whole other world. I want to show you guys this as well. Like this is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with. And they talked about in the first, a segment with Fox News. They're talking about the toy manufacturer. Toys are not made in USA. And so do we want to bring those kind of jobs to the USA? Is that what we're talking about here? Do we want to make clothes in the USA? Do we want to make iPhones in the USA? I mentioned before, we talked about it. It was the new projection from Bank of America was saying if we build iPhones in USA, the cost would go up to 90% more, like effectively double. Other projections have said maybe even 3 times more. It is not impossible to build things in USA, but people aren't being realistic about it. And do Americans actually want to work in these kind of jobs anymore? When there's lots of other jobs, be it service related, be it financial, be it healthcare, right? Be it computers. We're in a different economy these days, and they just want to roll things back. So I know there's a lot to talk about this stuff. These are sensitive topics. I completely understand, and I also want to bring up as well. If you guys want to check out my book, it's called Positive Angle. Why am I talking about my book right now? I grew up around factory workers. I grew up working at these kind of things, commercial construction, actually, not residential, commercial. I also grew up picking berries. I've been around this world and I know how it is. And even back then, I'm just telling you, even back then around the construction workers, I'd always hear complaints that you couldn't find Americans that would want to do construction work. It was really hard back then. And I'm hearing from people in the community even today, it's hard to get Americans to want to work in, factory type jobs or construction stuff. It's hard to get Americans to do these things, which I understand. It's a tough job. I worked with asbestos and fiberglass, and it's really, really dirty. And it's not something I wanted to do. And so I hit the books. I studied all the time. It wasn't the life for me. I don't shame anyone for working in construction, no, because I think there's something, important that we need these certain skilled labor jobs, right? Be it carpenters, electricians, sheetrock. I'm sorry, I always forget the name of the sheetrock. We call them the rockers, but you need a lot of contractors to do this kind of stuff. You need people to do landscaping, all sort of things, but not everyone necessarily wants to do that. And it's tough work. I know we talk about a lot of stuff. I just wanted to bring that up because sometimes people think, I'm just some stupid college boy who doesn't know anything. And it's like, I know a lot more than you realize. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Do appreciate your time, everyone. And I'll catch you on the next video.